Hello everyone, this is Jim G from Jim G's Coaching Club, and I want to welcome you today to my passive income creative real estate investing video cheat sheet on wholesaling houses for newbies, the ABCs to wholesaling real estate like a pro. But before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about why I do this. I get people all the time asking me, why do you do this? You're a very successful real estate investor. You've been investing for nearly 30 years. You've made millions of dollars investing in real estate, doing all kinds of deals, from flipping to wholesaling to rehabbing. You currently have a sizable passive income real estate portfolio, so you clearly don't need the money. So why do you do this? And if any of you know me, you know the answer to that. I'm passionate about real estate, but I'm even more passionate about helping new and seasoned investors quickly start and rapidly grow their passive income, high cash flow, creative real estate, and AirBNB portfolios. And I work with people so that they can eventually just stop chasing deals. I hate to see people losing sleep at night, laying up all night wondering when they're going to get their first deal or their next deal. So that they'll stop trading that valuable time away from family and loved ones so that they can have the income to pay the bills or to take a vacation or to just begin living that life that they know they should be living. Enjoying and sharing their God-given gifts as much as they want and doing the things that they're passionate about, like spending more time with their family, traveling, giving to the church, and doing more for their community. If that sounds like you or your situation, then at any time during or following this video, if you'd like to set up a live one-on-one session with me, click the link below to schedule a free strategy call, and I'll personally sit down with you on a live one-on-one session, and I'll give you some additional insight, some tools, and the help that you need so that you can be where you're trying to be, and more importantly, so that you can go where you know you should be. Also, at the end of this video, I will provide you with a link so you can download the free physical wholesaling cheat sheet to have with you at any time. However, if you want that cheat sheet and a few other free valuable wholesaling resources, type in cheat sheet in the comments below, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell. Lastly, if you get value out of this video, please hit the thumbs up. Now, on to business. What is wholesaling? If you're new to real estate, I understand starting out can be really intimidating, especially with what's required financially as an investment to get started. This cheat sheet will be like a crash course that will provide you with the information to get you started, and I'm going to tell you how it can be done with a low cost of entry. Okay? And so, again, real estate really isn't as hard as it sounds or what most people make it out to be. When you have the basics down pat, it's pretty simple. However, there are a lot of moving pieces, so don't ever take it for granted, because you'll get caught. The easiest way in to the real estate investment business is through wholesaling. And you can do that actually with little or no experience. Here in my ABCs to wholesaling video cheat sheet, I'll map out for you the basics to getting that business up and running in no time. What you'll find here is a nice summary of everything you'll need to know about it. So, what is wholesaling? Ask the question again. In a nutshell, technically speaking, wholesaling is all about putting a certain property, preferably a distressed property under contract. The overall purpose or intention is to be able to assign that contract to another buyer so that the profit can be generated out of flipping that said property. Although further down the road, as you get more skilled, more seasoned, and more comfortable with this niche, you can dabble into fixing or rehabbing some properties. But while you're just getting started, it would be best to stick to the basics, meaning stick to the main principle of wholesaling, which is to market these distressed properties to potential buyers at a price that is more than the contract that you have with the seller is for. Now, why is wholesaling ideal for newbies like you? Well, for starters, it doesn't really require anything long term. As a matter of fact, wholesaling is somewhat considered as a fast card, so to speak, when it comes to investing strategies. So if you don't have fairly substantial cash reserves or substantial cash flow to play around with in the beginning, wholesaling can really turn out to be perfect for you. Now, real estate can be complicated if you don't have the fundamentals covered. So that's why I've decided to map out the ABCs for you so that you'll be able to wholesale in real estate like a pro in no time. So now to the ABCs. And letter A is find that property that you would like to wholesale. And what do I mean by that? What you need to keep an eye out for as much as possible would be properties that are distressed. And what this means is that you would have to find them priced way lower than the actual market value, typically about 50%. In order for properties to be tagged as UMV or under market value, there would have to be variables at play. It is possible that the properties may be in a certain state of disrepair, and this is why they're being sold under market value, or the owners may be motivated to sell quickly. However, it could just be that they're in a hurry to relocate somewhere else and they have a need to dispose of their property right away, or some other reason. Either way, this is something that can really work out to your advantage as someone who is starting out in the wholesaling niche of the real estate investment world. As a starter, the main appeal of wholesaling to you would mainly be based off of the low capital requirements of getting into the business. Take note though that although it may not be a whole lot, you're still going to have to put up something down in order to lock up that contract. Also, you might need to start joining real estate investment groups because shared community knowledge can be quite valuable when you're still just starting out. So make it a point to go online and establish your presence in the online community as well. Social media is a platform that is relatively free until you graduate to paid ads to gain more leads. But until you get to that point, establishing yourself won't cost you anything other than your time and your efforts. And then further down the road, you may need to hire an assistant to help you cultivate your pool of leads or potential buyers. So take note of that as well. What's so great about this is that you don't have to have or spend anything if you aren't ready for it. So you can always go with something that fits your budget. If you have more cash flow and reserves, then you can adjust accordingly. But until you're up to it, you don't have to shell out any money, especially when you're still trying to get your feel for the business. So social media is a great tool. The next thing is you're going to need to think about hiring a property manager or bird dog. Now, some people call it property managers, but what they're going to be doing is bird dogging. And in the real estate industry, that jargon for that type of a person is basically derived from the dog hunting birds for its owner. In the same fashion, the manager will be sent out to hunt deals and properties for you to acquire. And so this is a fairly popular way of finding distressed properties because it technically means that you wouldn't have to do the grunt work for yourself every day. This bird dog will help you locate properties either online or by scouring the area that you're in, or even doing door-to-door inquiries and market research. Cold calling homeowners is a great way to pull some information on potential properties so that you can purchase them, or at least lock them up, which what I call acquiring, right? So when you're talking about wholesaling, it's not necessarily, you're not buying, you're acquiring. You're gaining possession and control. Possession being you have the ability to come and go, and control is you have the ability to generate revenue off of that property using a specific exit strategy. And in this case, it's going to be wholesaling. But when you're picking up a bird dog, you don't want to do it on an hourly basis. You're not looking for an hourly employee. The best setup would be for you to hire someone that would be willing to work on a commission basis so that you only have to pay them when you actually acquire a piece of property, and in most cases after it closes. And so the beauty of that is they're working and you're not shelling out money, or you're not reaching into your pocket to pay someone until you get paid. Sounds good? Now B in the ABCs. Making the purchase offer and convincing the property owner to sell. Now that's important because finding a property that you're interested in to purchase that's under market value is not the final step though, right? Apart from identifying which property you're planning to buy, you will still need to go through the motions of setting up a deal that is enticing to the owner, and in turn, eventually convincing the property owner to sell it to you. But getting them to sign your contract is also important. So always make it a point to remember, get the paperwork signed when you're making an offer, and then you get them to agree to the deal. Get it signed. Because if it ain't in writing, it don't exist. Now, once you have the contract signed, sealed, and delivered, only then are you guaranteed a secured property to wholesale and possibly generate a certain margin of profit off of it. Now, with respect to the contracts though, you want to try and keep it simple. I would always recommend a simple 1 or 2 page contract versus the typical 8 to 10 page contract that most realtors use. And the reason being is because keeping it simple is the reason being is you want to make it as simple as possible when you're working with sellers and or buyers, right? Because the less they have to think about, it's easier for them to move forward. So what's the saying? The saying is that a confused mind does nothing, right? You don't want to confuse them. And if you don't have a contract, one of the simple 1 or 2 page contracts that can be used in any state, then reach out to me and I'll work with you to make it available for you. Now, tact and a certain level of finesse are required when it comes to approaching the owner about a deal. So I encourage you to be sensitive when discussing deals. Why? It's because you need to understand that properties usually come with a certain level of sentimental value when you're dealing with someone that's not an investor. Well, as a total stranger, you can have the plus. It could be a plus or a minus. A lot of times, if there's a special situation that seller is going through, they may not necessarily want to talk to someone they know about it. And as a total stranger, they know that you're not necessarily going to be, you're going to be less likely possibly to judge them, right? That's one. But if you don't do it properly, if you're not sensitive, right, then that'll backfire on you also, because as a total stranger, people don't just open up about whatever, right? And so what you want to do is you need to elevate your relationship status with them by listening and becoming a problem solver more than just another real estate guy trying to get a good deal. The better you are at doing that, the more they will open up and confide in you. And if they sense that you care, that you really care, then they'll begin to trust you. And they need to know that they can trust you before they begin signing any paperwork. Keep that in mind, because a common mistake of new wholesalers is that they have their sights aimed on reselling that property, right? And they get so focused on the money versus solving the seller's problems and working to build a win-win transaction and relationship that most of them end up losing the deal and really don't even understand why, because the numbers made sense, right? They're thinking that the numbers made sense, but they're missing that other piece. And that really just comes with experience and knowing. So this is a good piece for you to understand. And remember, if you don't have people saying yes, if you can't lock up transactions, you have nothing to sell. If you have nothing to sell, you make no money. You make no money, you go back, you're going to stay working for somebody else, all right? And staying in the situation that you're in, right? And even less importantly, really getting to where you know you should be. So to start making money in this business, your main focus is to seek a win-win transaction. And so what does that mean? Win-win is learning to understand what the seller's needs are, right? So that you can solve that problem. And if you can get them what their need is, you can solve the problem that they have, right? Get them what they need, and still understanding what your need is, what your win is, to get a property that's under market value so that you have enough in that deal to be able to flip it quickly and have profit in it for yourself and leave most of it in for the new buyer. If you can solve their problem and still get your win, now you've created a win-win scenario and you'll be crushing it. So remember, selling properties for non-investors usually come with pain points, especially when it means that they have to sell under market value. And it's possible that they might be defaulting on a mortgage because of a reduced income or something, a divorce or something. You never know. So go about that in the right way. Be as sympathetic as possible, right? Be as sensitive as possible when discussing these things. And let them know that you're there to help them, not just there for personal gain. Okay? And once you get them to agree, then it's time to move on to making the offer and getting a favorable price, which will allow you to quickly and easily flip the property and still make a profit. Remember I said quickly and easily, right? So now there are contracts that need to be handled. There's an inspection of the property that needs to be done, and you need to do an appraisal, right? Then you move right on to just closing the deal. So once you get those things done, then you can get the deal closed. But it's important that you remove the stress as much as possible from the seller. And one way that you can do that is by handling all these things, right? Typically, some of the things necessary for closing fall on the seller. And they typically have to go to their attorney and have the attorney do this or do that. It behooves you to take on as much of that stuff as possible to relieve them of anything from as much as possible. So then that way, they recognize that you are in it for their best interest. You do care. And the fact of the matter is, it's your business. You can get it done faster. If you're a real estate guy, you should be able to get this stuff done a lot faster than they can. And that's in your best interest as well. And one other thing is, that's also a good bargaining chip, is offering them the option of paying the seller's closing costs. And if there are any repairs that they need to do on their end, just make sure you highlight that and talk about those things in detail as well on the purchase agreement. So that way they understand the reason for your low offer. And this will justify the overall price, make them comfortable when it's time to formally make that offer. Okay? And then letter C is get in touch with the professionals. You're basically going to need 3 main professionals on your team as a wholesaler. You're going to need an appraiser for the properties, a contractor to take care of any repairs, and if applicable, a title company or an attorney, depending on which state you're in. And they handle all the legal documents. And then hiring these professionals will not only save you a lot of time, but a lot of trouble, and it's going to ensure that the sale of the properties that you're looking to acquire are going to go off without a hitch. So what does an appraiser do? Well, your relationship with an appraiser can be a needs-based type of deal, right? You're going to need someone who will be on call or someone who can at least respond on short notice to get you an appraisal for the property that you're considering. And it's important that you get a professional for this, not just some guy that can eyeball and tell you what they think it's worth. Why? Because you need to make sure that the price is right. One of our mantras is you make your money when you buy. Like if your numbers are not right up front, it's going to be real difficult for you to make them right in the back. Why? Because the numbers don't lie. It is what it is, right? So that appraiser, his job is going to be to confirm your beliefs that you have enough wiggle room in the deal for profit, right? So what is a contractor going to do for you? A contractor is basically a handyman, so that's what you need, who will be taking care of any of the minor repairs, right, that's going to need to be done to the property. Now, in most cases with wholesaling, as I tell you, you're not going to want to be going in and doing a whole bunch of stuff. If it's stuff that's going to cost more than, $300, $400, $500 in supplies and materials, you want to keep it simple just starting out. You don't want to get into a rehab project because that's a whole nother thing. The other thing is, if you're spending $500 and you're able to make anywhere from 5 to 10 times your money on every dollar that you spend, then that's the viable type of work you're going to want to be doing. So if I'm spending $1,000, am I going to make $5,000 to $10,000 because I did that? And for example, what does that look like? And this isn't necessarily a handyman, but it's still paying for some things that need to be done. Sometimes you go into a place and it's just full of stuff, right? Where you might now need to, clean it out and hire 1 or 2 guys, pay them, no more than $500 for them and the dumpster to clear that stuff out, all the garbage, right? They can see clearly what the possibilities are and willing to pay you more. Whereas when there's just a bunch of garbage all over the place, they're going to offer you the minimum, the bare minimum. That's one good example, right? Or you may just you have someone that has the ability to do some minor paint or things like that, patching up a hole, right? So those kinds of things you can do, and it's more psychological than anything because it doesn't necessarily raise the value, but it raises the value in people's mind. right? And so what I typically say is when it comes to determining the market value, one of the things that determines market value is not necessarily the price that you're offering it at, but what determines market value is what people are willing to pay. That's what determines market value. And so those little things can help. But also find someone that you can guarantee possibly some sort of profit, or you need to find someone whose prices are relatively reasonable and who's worth their weight in gold when it comes to being able to move quickly and someone you can rely on. Also, you want to find someone that's able, if they're a contractor or a handyman, that's able to give you an estimate and able to also talk numbers as well. This will make your job so much easier as a wholesaler as you begin and as you grow. And then lastly, the title company or the attorney. Basically, a title company or an attorney, they are going to take care of everything under the legal spectrum of it all, from the purchasing the property, and they're going to make sure that the property that you're picking up is legit with all the requirements covered. So what they'll do is they'll usually run a title search, which is like a background check on the property, and that's going to determine if there's any liens and or just ensuring that you have good title that you can transfer. So you need a title company or an attorney who's friendly to investors, because you will be working hand in hand with them when it comes to disbursements, contracts, and closing the deal altogether. And so my final thoughts is, when it comes to real estate investing, it can be as simple or as difficult as you make it. And a big part of that is if you surround yourself with a team of people that will work with you, that have skills to offset the skills that you don't have, and if you don't cut corners. And then the other thing is, if you surround yourself with someone that's willing to take you under their wing and show you some things, right, that's a huge part of it, right? They're not going to do the work for you, but they'll guide you through and help you to accelerate your success, right? That's been a key for me throughout my 30 years, is finding the right people that are well above where I am, and at least where I'm ultimately looking to be. That's willing to impart on me some knowledge, some wisdom, and in most cases, even more importantly, some resources, right, that I just am not really aware of. The saddest thing is not knowing what you don't know, right? And then you end up spinning your wheels and making mistakes. You eventually learn, but it becomes a costly lesson. So with that said, I just want to say I'm passionate about helping new and seasoned investors start and grow their passive income, high cash flow, creative real estate, and AirBNB portfolios. And if you have any questions about what we just discussed or what I just went over with you, then two things. One, if it's just a basic question, you could probably find it in one of my cheat sheets, or you can just send me a quick message, right? But if it's something you really want to dive deep into, if you really want some help and accelerate your progress and shorten the time that it's going to take for you to get to where you're trying to go, then click the link below, schedule that free strategy session with me, right? And again, I'll get into it. I'll do what I can to help you and make sure that you're not making the same costly mistakes that many new investors make. And then to wrap it up, I mentioned to you that I'm going to have a cheat sheet that you can download at the end of the video. So I'm going to provide that link at the end of this. So if you want more valuable resources as well as that cheat sheet, right? So some more valuable free wholesaling resources, then type in cheat sheet in the comments below, subscribe to this channel, and click the notification bell. And if you did get value from this video, please click the like button. I want to say thank you, God bless you, and I'll see you on the next one.